The Monday Morning Marketing Podcast is brought to you by Esther of IPA Group, bringing premier online promotion to your business.
And Melanie of Stomp Social Media Training, who empowers business owners to manage social media and marketing for themselves.
And welcome back to another episode of the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. Today we're talking about celebrating women-owned businesses. And we're doing that because International Women's Day is coming up at the end of this week. And yes, I know I am dating this episode. I'm so sorry. I think it's an important thing. I mean, Melanie and I both own our own businesses. We're both women in business. We have this podcast together. And I think not enough women shout about what they do and the successes that they have.
I used to be a very staunch feminist when I first started, started work, and I can do just as well. And I can, but over the years, I felt I haven't needed to be as staunchly feminist because it's become more accepted. But there's still a huge amount of work that we need to do. There's still more supports. There's still more recognition. And I think the mindset shift has helped. Definitely will have helped my children, my two girls.
Yeah.
But for a change, I don't want to harp on all the things that the world's doing us, an injustice.
No.
But talking about the things that is actually working.
Yes. Yes.
For a change.
For a change. Yes, because, the title is celebrating, not, putting other businesses down or not complaining, So, yeah, we're going to celebrate women-owned businesses, and we're going to name a few of those that are worth mentioning and naming. I mean, Melanie and I have mentioned it on many occasions before that we are members of Digital Women. And as the name suggests, it is women. Principally, I mean, there are a few men at least in the free group. But I think paid membership is exclusive for females. And there are so many wonderful women in that group who are doing great things. But I have to say the majority of them are one-woman bands. They are solopreneurs. And although that makes them the CEO and the CFO and all the other top levels in business, it also makes them the cleaner and the cook and the bottle washer and everything else. So branching out a bit more into businesses that are maybe larger, we have some statistics.
And this is thanks to an article that we found written by Louisa Zhu. So thank you for the article. It was only written in January. And she was pointing out here, which is fascinating actually, that globally 1 in 3 businesses has women among the principal owners. So it's a lot higher than I thought it would be actually.
Yeah, especially when you're taking in the whole of the world, and that includes, underdeveloped countries, developing countries, even those that people would call third world countries. It's, as an average, it is, like you say, higher than I thought it would be. Although she does go on to say that in low-income countries, it is a smaller percentage. So it's maybe 20-25% there. So 1 in 4. But yeah, I mean, she even says that 42% of all USA businesses are owned by women, which is a lot higher than I would have said as well.
Yeah, that's startling, actually. But, that's just women-owned businesses. But she says here, only 10% of the global cross-company founders listed on Crunchbase are women. So I'll be honest with you, a lot of that sentence confused the heck out of me. I had to reread that a few times to actually understand that. But so these are the people that are the sort of the highest of high with managing lots and lots of people underneath them. And so Crunchbase would be the place that actually lists all of these businesses and all of these companies, should I say.
Yeah.
So again, still a fair bit of work to happen there, but do you know, we're working our way up, and
Yeah.
there is an opportunity for my two kids, both teenagers. Who knows how different it will be in the next 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And another increase is the share of women hired into leadership roles has increased by 3.6% in the last 6 years. So it's gone up from 33.3% in 2016 to 36.9% in 2022. So that, I mean, we're going in the right direction. I mean, it's not 50-50, and I wouldn't even expect it to be 50-50, but it's at least going in the right direction, you know? I wouldn't want somebody hiring me just because I'm a female, but I think we deserve the recognition that we work just as hard or sometimes harder to get to where we are.
Now, there's a huge section on this article, which is by Louisa Zhu, louisazhu.com, Women in Business Statistics, about the US. Excuse me. But the percentage of entrepreneurs that are female, I found this particular point 10, less advanced and lower income countries have an average of 38% women business owners.
Okay.
So women in less advanced and low income countries like Botswana, Uganda, Ghana, Malawi, they surpass their global peers with a higher women in business ownership rate of 38%.
Mm.
Mind blown. So meanwhile, women from high-income countries like the United States, Portugal, New Zealand, Australia and Spain maintain a strong women's business ownership rate ranging from 30 to 36% in the top 10 positions worldwide. This is just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also incredible to see that younger people are coming into businesses as well. So, and she mentions in another part of her study that young female entrepreneurs, so between the ages of 18 and 34, in lower income countries have the highest participation. So that's almost 56% of female entrepreneurs are in that younger age bracket.
This whole blog is just fascinating. And, I've seen a trend of more entrepreneurship happening. As you know, I mentor local businesses here in County Westmeath, and it is definitely more women coming in on a regular basis, looking for support, guidance. And, we're so lucky, certainly over here in the Republic of Ireland, that we've got such an extensive support system for businesses, whether they're brand new startups or whether they're fully established long-term businesses. And, they're getting the right recognition and the right support these days, and a true, wealthy, healthy budget of money is being set aside for them to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something that also triggered a lot of people into starting their own business was the pandemic. So you had all these people who maybe got laid off or were working in jobs that had to close during the pandemic that were traditionally, retail jobs, which is where you see a lot of women working, and not just working but owning.
Yeah.
So a lot of those companies had to shut their doors at least in the UK and Ireland for many, many weeks. And what did they do in the meantime when there was no income coming in? There was no nothing, there was nothing they could do. They started their own business. So maybe they were previously an employee who's now turned into a business owner, because another statistic that she mentioned, that again, this is specifically for the US, but half of the startups in 2021 were created by women. And that was in 2019, that was 28% lower in 2019. So you've got, sorry, it was 28% of startups in 2019 were led by females,
Hmm.
and just 2 years later it had gone up to 49%. So
Wow.
that, definitely triggered that, and I would hope that a lot of those have maintained, because we know that, starting a business isn't easy. Keeping it going after 2 years is even harder. So
Yeah.
we really hope that a lot of those have been able to um, come about and stick with it.
I think what motivates people to start a business, especially since the pandemic, is, they've realised that some of them had an existential crisis and gone, we only get so much time.
Yeah.
We don't get to rehearse this life. We only get one chance.
Yeah.
And after going through this, I think I should be brave, put my big girl pants on, and set up my dream. And I think that's made such a difference to people, although it was horrible for everybody. And there's lots of people have lost people. I did too,
Yeah.
through the pandemic. But I think if you understand that, this isn't a tryout, you don't get a practice session in life. You've got to reach for the stars, and a lot of people did. And I think some people have also realised how unhappy their staff are as well,
Yeah.
because they felt unvalued or not supported enough. And the pandemic also helped people understand, because point 23 on Louisa Zhu's blog is almost half the employees in women-led firms are offered upskilling programs. So women-led businesses are more likely to provide training and upskilling opportunities to their workers.
Yeah.
A reported 45% of the employees in firms led by women are offered extra training that encourages knowledge, building, personal development and empowerment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic.
But it does come down to, just all of this reminding me of the conversation we had with Carol a couple of weeks ago about archetypes. And, females tend to fall into the carer and the nurturing
Nurturing.
end of it.
Yeah.
So that is logical to me, that women will want their teams to grow and build and succeed. And I'm not saying that men don't want that, but I think a lot of men might feel the competition would be too great if their employees knew more than they did, for example. Whereas, I have no problem teaching someone. And I think that's also where you do the training and stuff, so that you want people to have the same knowledge that you do
Yeah.
and be able to do it for themselves. Whereas a lot of other companies will just do, oh, I'll do it for you,
Yeah. Oh, I've trained other social media managers and social media trainers, people who want to compete with me.
Yeah.
um, but at the end of the day, there is no such thing as competition. But
Yeah.
no, it's just for we just wanted to spend some time thinking about all the amazing, brave, courageous, strong women. I can think of two or three immediately,
Oh.
Esther being one of
Oh,
them.
thank you.
And then we've got Samantha Kelly and Joanne Sweeney,
Yeah.
down here in the Republic, who absolute kudos and respect to all three ladies. They all work damn hard, and they've got true recognition for their incredible skill sets.
Yeah, and like we say, Lucy Hall over in England. There are just so many. There are far too many to mention. I mean, if we did,
Yeah,
we'd be here for another hour or more, going through all the females that we know. That and we haven't even touched on the ones that we know in America. So
that's true.
there are just so many. So I mean, we just wanted to make this episode about celebrating them. About, like I said, we could name hundreds and hundreds more, but just use this week, this International Women's Day that's coming up. And yes, for any men that are listening, there is an International Men's Day in November, so don't feel left out. But do just thank the women that own businesses locally to you. go and buy a coffee from your local coffee shop, which is probably run by a woman and owned by a woman. Let's face
Mm,
it, the local clothes shop. I'm just thinking of my own small town here.
yeah.
Most of the places, except for the takeaways, are owned and run by women, but the supermarkets are all owned by women. They're just go and thank them, and
Yeah.
maybe use this as motivation to increase your um women inside your own business. If you're outsourcing, if you're hiring, look at the women around you that could help, but please only hire them if they're good for the job.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
you know right, that's it for today, guys. Thanks very much for listening to us, and we hope to have you back with us next week for more Monday Morning Marketing. Until then, bye bye.
Bye.